The Positive Pause is a motivational-minded podcast covering topics women want to know about as they journey to and through menopause, focusing on subjects that impact women's health and healthy aging, including what it means to age healthfully. The Positive Pause features experts and influencers from a variety of industries and specialties. The information and opinions expressed on the Positive Pause are not intended to replace the services of trained professionals or to provide specific medical advice. To see the National Menopause Foundation's full medical disclaimer, please visit nationalmenopausefoundation.org.
Welcome to the Positive Pause. I'm Claire Gill, founder of the National Menopause Foundation. Joining me today is Stephanie Mitchell, owner of Stephanie Mitchell Fitness. She is a dedicated wellness and fitness professional who helps women to become stronger and more mindful so they may live their most fearless life, especially during their perimenopausal and menopausal years. Stephanie was listed as one of MIDI's top 45 women's health experts worth listening to in 2024. She is a certified personal trainer, menopause and wellness coach, meditation instructor, educator, and podcaster. Helping women live their lives to the fullest is her passion. Stephanie holds a BS in health education and an MS in health promotion management from Marymount University. And when she's not working, she loves to run, read, travel, and go to concerts with her family. Thanks so much for joining me today, Stephanie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted to be here.
So I was really excited to meet you through my former colleague and my current friend and NMF board member, Susan Randall. And Susan is a nurse practitioner before she retired. And you and she used to work together, right?
We sure did. It was many, many moons ago.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you developed your professional background and how you got started in the whole world of fitness and wellness coaching.
Right. So I started out in corporate wellness. In college, I had this dream of being this wellness professional where I worked for different organizations and kept everybody healthy. I'm very much a Pollyanna person. I was like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a difference and I'm going to help save all these organizations money and keep everybody well. So I did that for about 10 years. And in my 10th year, I had a 1-year-old son. And just as life turned out, I ended up leaving my dream job of working for Arlington County government as their health promotion manager and became a stay-at-home mom. And pretty much as soon as I became a stay-at-home mom, I was chomping at the bit to go back to work. All I wanted to do was figure out how I could go back to work. I love doing what I do. And about 5 years later, actually a few more years than that, when my now 16-year-old turned 5 and started kindergarten, I created Stephanie Mitchell Fitness and just started personal training out of my home, loved it. And as time has gone on, I have become a wellness coach, a meditation coach, and just kept growing in terms of personal development, knowing that it was important for me to practice a number of things. And as time went on, I just wanted to share that with other women. So here I am, 11 years into my own business, trying to reach women and connect with women so that they can live their healthiest life, and especially now in our perimenopausal and menopausal years.
That's so great. And it's so needed.
Yeah.
Again, because we do need some guidance sometimes as we travel through this journey of midlife that can be very complicated.
Okay.
And so it's nice to see that more and more businesses are focusing on how to help women master this time of life and move things forward.
Yeah, I remember watching or hearing my mom talk about her story, and her menopausal story started early in her 40s. And she was so confused about what was going on. And her mental health is what suffered the most. Yeah. And she kept trying to go talk to doctors. Like she thought she was going crazy. I hate to use this term, but she was suicidal and nobody was listening to her. And she was very frustrated. And she still tells me today about how she felt very alone for many years and not heard. And so in the back of my mind, that is the story I keep telling myself. Like, I want to help women be heard.
Yes.
I don't want women to feel like they're losing their minds. I want them to know that what they're experiencing is a part of this time of life and that they need to be connected to other women and to good healthcare professionals who can help them get through this time.
That's right. It's very, very important. You know, and we hear a lot too that sometimes women talk about, well, I breezed through menopause and I didn't have any, kind of hard, debilitating symptoms. And that's fabulous. And that is the case for many women. But the opposite is true, right? Where like your mom or some women find this to be the most struggling time period in their existence. And so again, it doesn't have to be, and we need to work through that. And I love, again, focusing on what can we do ourselves to improve that? And that's where this the fitness, nutrition, and everything comes in. So I've been talking a lot with fitness professionals recently, obviously on this topic, and we've had other people on the podcast talking about it. And what motivation is needed when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle and whether we need to get healthy or maintain our health. And I've always felt, honestly, like there is something wrong with me because nothing motivates me to exercise. And I've been under the impression that I need to discover like this elusive motivation that's out there somewhere that's going to make me get healthier and really feeling bad when that doesn't happen. Whereas I'm motivated in many other areas of my life, and then yet I don't in this area. And they had a lot of different opinions on that. So I'd love to get your take on motivation and what role it plays or doesn't in building a healthy lifestyle.
Well, so the first thing I want to say to you as someone who's become a new friend to me and someone who I very much look up to is have compassion and grace for yourself. The fact that you don't have motivation to work out, you're not alone, but you're so motivated. You have this incredibly full life. You travel, you're educating women, you're bringing people together for a wonderful cause, two wonderful causes, actually, with bone health and osteoporosis, as well as menopause. And you're doing incredible work. So let go of the expectations of that I have to work out and don't beat yourself up because you're not motivated. It's okay.
Yeah.
Exercise, nutrition, taking care of our mental health, all of those things are important. But when I'm working with people, I want people to figure out what their why is. Why do you feel the need to do it? And a lot of my clients come to me and they're like, well, I want to lose 10 pounds because I want to get into my old clothes, or I want to lose 10 pounds because I want my this age body back. And they're going back 10 years. I coach my clients to think about different sets of motivation. It can't be about getting back into something. I don't want it for them to be about looking a way they did 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. What motivates you as your life moves forward? What is it you want to be able to do in the future? Is it you want to be stronger? Is it you want to chase grandkids around? Is it you want to chase your own children around? Is it I want to be strong so that I can continue to do the things I love to do in retirement? I want to travel the world and I want to be healthy. I'm helping a woman right now be able to have endurance and strength to go on her big 60th birthday trip.
Great.
So to me, it's about understanding what your why is for the future and helping women be motivated to take care of themselves so that they can achieve those things, but not about looking backwards as to what we used to have or used to do or used to look or fit in. But what is it you want so badly for the future that you want to take care of yourself and work towards that?
That's very much in line with a lot of the experts say, right? To get away from worrying about what happened in the past, or obviously recognizing, what got us here, and then how do you change healthy habits over time. Like I said, you didn't get out of shape overnight. You're not going to get in shape overnight. And by shape, I mean, like you said, healthy, whatever healthy and strong really is for you, because it's very different from a lot of people. And I remember on a recent podcast interviewing a nutritionist, and I know we're only audio on this, but since we get to see each other while we talk through this, I had said to her, I'm like, well, you're man, you look great and you're obviously healthy, whatever. And she's like, you can't judge a book by its cover. And just because I'm thin does not mean I'm necessarily healthy, right? And so it is that we're taught in our culture that thin is the way we need to be. And if you're not a certain size, then you're not healthy. And we know now from science that is not true, right? I am never going to be the size 0 model. What's healthy for me is very, very different from someone else who has a different genetic makeup and frame and all of those kinds of things. So
100%.
I appreciate that. Give yourself grace, and I've learned to do that, right? Because talking with experts, being like, wait, hold up.
Yeah.
There's never a bad time to turn the attention towards your health and whenever that is. So we need to kind of do that. The other thing that I found listening to experts, I thought that was so interesting, was that we're more likely to stick to healthy exercise or physical fitness or movement, whatever you want to call that healthy habit, if we do it with others.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in your practice, you coach individually and in groups. So what are the benefits of each? Which do you see as, or is it a combination of it?
So I think it just depends on the person as to how they're going to show up. So when it comes to working one-on-one with someone, they're getting personalized attention. And I will say, for me, what I really love about the one-on-one sessions is you get to go deep with people. I am so not good at miscellaneous chit chat or small talk. That is so not my jam. In fact, like if I'm anywhere, like let's say a big party, I just want to find one person, go sit in a corner and just talk all night to that one person. I don't know how to do a room. So when I'm one-on-one with folks, it's the deeper conversation about what's really happening in that person's life and really seeing that person and understanding what's going on. And I think my clients appreciate that as well, kind of being heard and being in that safe space and being able to talk through something that might be troubling to them. Obviously, one-on-one with people, everything's a little bit more personalized and individualized, but then there's also that sense of accountability. So one-on-one, whether it's wellness coaching or personal training, has its pros. It's also a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
In terms of group work, it's a little less expensive. It's more fun to do things for some people with their friends or with their workout crew or whatever. There's still the accountability. There might be a sense of a cheer squad or a little posse, if you will. Just that sense of community, showing up in community, knowing that you're going to be there to talk with a few different people and just have fun. Sometimes the community just makes it a little bit more fun. So I think there's benefits to both. I think it just is about what meshes or serves people best. Yeah. What works best for an individual, and if they like being in a group or an individual being one-on-one better.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. And again, we're lucky that there's examples and opportunities to do either or both, depending on what someone needs, because as much as I am an extrovert and love to be, in big groups and do that stuff, when it comes to exercising, or at least how I viewed exercising, I wanted to do it alone. I didn't like to do it in groups. I don't want to go to the gym with other people. I want to go do my thing, get out. But I do like classes, right? In other areas. But then the science that's one of our bone side, one of our experts from the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, he was talking about exercise as medicine, basically, right? Like the one thing that everyone has access to that has absolutely been proven to cure disease and prevent disease. And you can do it anywhere, anytime. It costs nothing. And he's like, if I offered you that, would you all take it? And everyone's like, yeah. And he's like, great, it's exercise. But he was saying that studies show to really build the habit and maintain it, you have to have a posse. You have to have that group, that community to kind of keep you motivated. And I remember sitting in the audience going, uh-oh, I'm going to have to open up my wellness routine into group stuff. So, but I like you said, like there's an opportunity for really both of those, depending on your mood too, right? There's some days where it's like, I just want to focus with one person, like you said, hold me accountable, keep me on track. And then other opportunities to be like, oh, let me talk about this with everyone and see what's
going on. The other thing I just want to say real quick is, so I've gotten trained one-on-one by another trainer because it helps me push myself a little bit more. And I've also been in a group setting. I like both equally as well. I push myself hard in both situations. But what's hard for me in a group situation is I find myself comparing myself to others.
Yeah.
And that's not a space I want to be in my head. And so I've had to do some work to kind of get out of that headspace. So I go back and forth between the two. Sometimes I feel good in group work and sometimes I feel better individually. So I think it's just kind of where people are on, in their journey, in their lives, as to what feels best at a certain time.
Yeah. And like you said, and that probably changes, if not daily, then certainly over the course of weeks, months, years, whatever, where sometimes you really just want to be singularly focused and sometimes you want to get the whole gang together.
Yeah.
But I was really interested in that because I didn't really understand the science behind what community does for us in those group settings. So I think it's also sort of what we talk about, and we're going to get into some of the nutrition stuff too. The no extremes, right? Like being alone all the time isn't good for you. Being in groups all the time isn't good for you. You need a little bit of balance of both. So I guess it's the same when we think about fitness or healthy movement,
right,
in that space as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it's also really challenging as we talk about how our behaviors or our habits might evolve over time and what changes we just naturally go through because of the life stage we're in, but also what happens physically to our bodies. And so
things change so much. I mean, I'm looking at where I am in life right now. I look at, I just sent one off to college. I still have one who's a junior in high school. Parents are getting older.
Yeah.
Relationships are changing. Friendships are changing. Like there is so much, the way the world is changing so fast. There is so much that we take in and consume daily.
Right.
Sometimes it's just about getting through a day.
Yes.
And not losing your marbles.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot to really consider in every aspect of our life, and our bodies do change. And I know it's important for me to move, but I know that there's sometimes where I get up and I feel like I'm walking like Frankenstein. So to get motivated to move first thing in the morning, it's kind of hard.
And some of that, like you said, it's like there is that natural part of aging, right? There are things, the joking or the stereotypes about people, cracking, you hear cracks, you can't get up, you're getting off the floor slower. All of those things are true. But then physiologically, there are changes happen. And I think that for so many women I talk to, and men too, about what some of those changes are that they didn't expect and are now trying to adjust to. So one of those being the fact that really our bodies store fat differently when we reach menopause, right? And so when you might be doing everything right in quotes, but you're active, you've eaten well, you did all this kind of stuff your whole life. And then all of a sudden your pants don't buckle, but in the same way. And it feels like it happened overnight. So can you talk a little bit about that kind of that change that happens within the body at midlife? And then what do you encourage women to do or how to start doing things a little bit differently to adjust to that change?
Right. So, and you just literally described my 2020. I remember in 2020, I had taken a little bit of a break from my business, relaunched at the beginning of 2020, and then the world shuts down. But I was teaching classes every day online, personal, working out all the time. The first 5 months of 2020, I was in the best shape I had been in years. I was working out, I was eating right, I was doing all the things. And then all of a sudden, about halfway through the year, maybe it was August, I was like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing had changed. Nothing. And my chest started to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it was as if they swelled up overnight. And even my friends were like, what happened?
Right.
Like your boobs just got huge. I don't know what happened. And then not everything was getting tight. But ironically enough, I had been studying menopause at this time. And so I was like, okay, so maybe things are starting to change. At that point in time, my cycle was starting to change drastically. And so I was thankfully very much aware as to what was going on. And I was just trying to ebb and flow with it. Was it always a graceful? No. Sometimes I was very frustrated, very sad because I was like, oh my God, I was just right here. I was just right there and everything changed. So when our hormones start to fluctuate during the perimenopausal years, I think what people don't understand is that our hormones impact all the systems of our body, so many systems, everything from our cardiovascular system to the endocrine system. I mean, it's all the systems.
Yes.
And so you're going to, if you're lucky and you don't experience symptoms, awesome. I would say many more of us do experience symptoms, and you kind of don't even know what's happening. And then you just start to notice things. So I would say if you're in your mid to late 40s and you're starting to notice things changing, pay attention. Just pay attention. You know, you might be sweating in the middle of the night. You might experience a hot flash in the middle of the day. You might be gaining a little bit of weight. Your sex drive might change. You might have vaginal dryness. I mean, your hair might be falling out. Your skin might change. There are so many different things. What we do know is that as our hormones change, we start to metabolize sugar in a different way. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we add a little bit of belly fat, is just because the way in which we process our foods and sugar is just different as a result of the hormones.
So do women need to then look at their diet and sort of saying, cut back on sugar? I
think it's important for women to just make notes, pay attention, take stock. I don't think anyone needs to make a radical shift until they've done, you kind of become your own science project.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what's happening. Here's what I'm doing right now. And then you kind of start to play around with things. If I increase it, like let's say you don't eat a lot of protein and you start to get a little bit more protein at each meal, how does that make you feel? For me, I know that if I sit down and I eat sugar, I'm not particularly a sugar person, but if I sit down and eat something that's sugary in the middle of the day, if I think like, oh, I need sugar or caffeine, I'm going to go up in energy and then crash about 30 minutes later and need a nap.
Yeah.
So I know that sugar doesn't help me. What helps me better is a little cottage cheese or a cheese stick or just something, or yogurt, just something that has a little bit of protein in it that's going to help sustain my energy level and help me get through to dinner time.
Right.
And one of the things that's hard is that there's so many people, there's all this information out there that's like, do this and lose weight fast, or do this and it works for everybody. I think what's important for people to understand, to what you said earlier, we didn't get to where we are overnight. You can't reverse things overnight. So you can make healthy changes, but it's going to take time. And our bodies, because we are older, are going to respond a little bit slower. So take care of yourself, do things that are going to serve you well. I like for people to think of food as fuel and nourishment for their bodies. What is it that you need to do today? Fuel your body for the job that it has to do. I do not subscribe to many of the things out there. I will tell you, I have tried a lot of things because I wanted to do the research to see how it impacted me so that I can educate my clients and say, hey, this is how it impacted me. I've done keto. I've done South Beach. I've done Weight Watchers. I've tried the intermittent fasting. None of them are sustainable. The goal and what I really want to work with women on. So earlier we talked about what's your motivation? What's your why? When I'm working with my clients, I have them figure out what are their values, what's their why, and then we start to kind of craft, okay, well, what do you want your life to look like? What's your menopause vision for yourself?
Yeah.
What's going to be important for you as you go through this time? Is it to go through it with calm and peace? Is it to take care of yourself so that in a few years you're on a trip or you're chasing grandkids, whatever your why is? So once you look at your values, you look at your goals, you put all those pieces together, but then it's about creating something for yourself that is sustainable. What is it you can support in an ongoing fashion? What is measurable and what is feasible? What can be done with ease?
Yeah.
So if you're putting something together and it's not sustainable, measurable, or feasible, you're not setting yourself up for success. So with all the pieces that I work with my clients on, it's just about little steps that help set you up for success. And I love the work of James Clear. He wrote Atomic Habits. He talks about creating systems, and systems are a series of habits that help set you up for success. So let's say you're starting to exercise. Let's say you haven't exercised in 20 years and you want to start. Well, he doesn't say go out and just start exercising. Week 1 is like set your alarm for the time you want to get up and just get up. Week 2 might be get up, put your clothes on.
Yeah.
3 might be get up, put your clothes on, go to the gym, but don't walk in the door. And week 4 might be get up, put your clothes on, drive, walk in. So it's about setting up a series of habits that create a system that helps support where you want to go. So for me, morning exercise is my thing. I know that I have to go to sleep at a reasonable time every night. My workday I get up every day at 4. My workday starts at 5. I generally try to work out at work in the first little bit, but I have a system at night that helps me prepare for the next day. I pack my food, my clothes, my bag, all of those things. So creating a system, and honestly, that's kind of my evening wind down routine. I talk about evening routines that help signify or signal to your body that it's time to get ready to go to bed. The 8 o'clock hour, as soon as I start getting that coffee pot ready for the next day, it's almost like you can feel a release in your body, like, oh yeah,
You
girl.
started. Yeah.
We were crawling in bed in T-minus 59 minutes. So it's just about creating those habits and those systems that help support you on where you want to be and how you want to show up.
That's great. And because that is a process that each of us can kind of set for ourselves, right? Go through that. If you have the opportunity to work with a coach and be able to figure that out, then fabulous. And there's great ones out there, as you are a great example of. But those are also good examples of those things, like we do it in other aspects of our life. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to in my physical health journey, to my health journey, is those routines that we have to get our kids out the door on time to school, that get our work done on time, all of those processes, as you said, that we put in place in other aspects of our lives. Spending just a little bit of that on our own health can work wonders. And so I really love that practical tips on how to just start building these easy little things into your routine that eventually will culminate in good, healthy habits. But as you said, not an overnight sensation, more of a building with time. And that's what we need if we're going to sustain our health into our golden years.
Yes. I always tell people, move today so you can move tomorrow.
So true. So true. And that really goes through all of life, right? It's a great lesson for young kids. Be as strong as you can now, right? Because you want your body and your bones to be so strong so that then, you can play sports when you're in high school, and you can play in the NFL, and, you can be the championship golfer, you can go to space as an astronaut, whatever that is.
Right.
We all need that. And if we start those healthy habits younger, obviously that's great, but also start where you stand, right? Whatever level you're at, go for it. And knowing that we do have to accommodate when our body changes with age. There's no way around it. If we're lucky enough to live long and continue to live longer, it's just going to be changes that we're going to have to adjust to.
Absolutely.
But the other part of your philosophy that I really think is super important and also helps with that, making it a sustainable, healthy choice, is the balance and the holistic approach to wellness. That we need to care for our mental health and wellness as much as we do as our physical health. So how can this benefit women, particularly around perimenopause and menopause, where you said there's a lot happening? How do you help balance? What's your recommendation for helping women balance the mental and the physical aspects of health?
So, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a meditation coach. I'm also an Ayurvedic practitioner, and meditation I've been doing since 2004. And it's a twice a day practice for me. Is it a perfect practice? Absolutely not. It is a practice. Like every day I sit and do it twice a day. And what it does for me is, and I will tell you, let me make no bones about this, I have mood swings like the rest of them. My family thinks I'm evil at times. So I need to be honest about that. I am not always I am Pollyanna 98% of the time, but there are days. There was a day recently this summer. It was maybe the week before we were taking my son to school. And I'm sorry to go off track here, but I woke up angry. Like the look on my face. I spent 6 hours. I won't tell you the whole story, but I spent 6 hours on my screened-in porch with a scrub daddy and some Mr. Clean, just scrubbing the anger out. Like,
I'm sure productive about it.
Oh my God. I don't know that I was really that productive. I think it was just, please let me be. Please just let me do this. Yeah. This is the only thing that's going to save any of us today.
Yeah.
So I share that story because as much as I practice the meditation and breathing exercises and the Ayurveda is about finding balance using sight, sound, touch, smell, taste. So an example I love is sometimes when I'm feeling stressed out, something that I need to listen to that's good for me is listening to ocean waves. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it would not be listening to like drums, like beating. Right. So listening to the waves. There are some people who the drums are good, but for me, it's about the ocean. For me, it's looking at cool colors like the blues and the greens. I know that when I'm stressed out, as much as I love to run, if I'm really fired up, me going for a run is the worst thing I can do, even though I love running.
Interesting.
Swimming would be better. Going for a walk in nature would be better. My go-to when I'm stressed out food are chips and salsa and margaritas with my girls.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Worst thing I can do, because that's going to continue to fire me up and get me even a little bit more angry and moody, when what I really need is like a little bit of melon, a little bit of cucumber, or some mint to help calm me down. So that's the Ayurveda part. It's using our senses, figuring out how you show up, kind of what's your constitution, and learning what's going to help restore you and get you back to balance. When it comes to meditation, meditation is the practice of just quieting the mind. We have about 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day. A lot of them are the same thoughts over and over again.
Here. Oh my God.
You know?
Yeah.
And meditation is just about quieting the mind, letting it come to a rest. And there are times when my mood swings or anxiety kind of flares up and I need to quiet my mind. And for that, I have the meditation practice. I also have breathing practices that I have. There's box breathing where you inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold the exhale for a count of 4. That's a really great practice. That's something that I practice in the middle of the night when I wake up and my mind's racing and I'm sweating. I might have to get up and get a cold glass of water to help with the sweating, but then I do the box breathing so that my mind doesn't start thinking about the next day. And again, all of these are practices. Are they going to work every single time? No, but it helps to keep us from ruminating, right? So focusing on those things is a part of, there's exercise, there's nutrition. Yes, 100% that's important, but also having those other practices in place are also important. And obviously, if you're struggling in other ways, I also just need to share this with people. I have a therapist and I'm on medication for depression and anxiety. And I've been on that since 2008 or 9. So I don't want to sit here and not tell the full truth. I do have help in other ways, but those are also my practices.
Well, I think that's it. It's sort of like creating and figuring out what tools are in your toolbox.
Correct.
And depending on what you need, you pull out from your toolbox whatever it is that helps. And when, on the other side of my life, as you know, is a chronic disease side with osteoporosis, that's the same kind of thing, right? All of these things in the toolbox. Treatment, medication is one tool in the toolbox, right?
Right.
You want to have all of those options available. Doesn't mean you need them. Doesn't mean you're going to use them all the time. Doesn't matter. But just knowing this is your full complement of tools in the toolbox, and here's what you can do and reach it. If you don't know, right? If you were trying to hang something on, you didn't know what a hammer was, right? And how much that could help you do the task you needed to do, you think that's kind of, why didn't you know about a hammer, right? And so the same thing when it comes to our health and well-being, there are things that we can do in exercise, nutrition, like you said, meditation, therapy, and there are treatments available. When we talk about that in menopause too, where people are like, oh, I don't want to take anything for it. That's fine. Absolutely fine. But just as long as you know that there are really cost-effective and effective treatments available too. And that decision is entirely your own.
Right. But be informed, make an informed decision.
That's exactly it. Make sure we let everyone know what those options are to be in your toolbox, and then you create your own toolbox and pull it out, like I said, when all that is needed. And so I appreciate your honesty and openness about that, because I think it's important that we do share that with people, that those of us who, even though we have access to every expert we could possibly need, you think I'd be doing things 100% right all the time. And I've shared a million times how much I struggle with it. Well, the same thing for the people that we turn to as experts, the doctors out there. And we need to keep that in mind, right? When we're also complaining about the doctors we go to and that they don't know how to fix us or how to get us, whatever. Sometimes they're in the same boat we are. right?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to manage their day and get through the patients and deal with the most priority issues, right? And so we need to give ourselves grace, and we also need to give grace to the people that we're working with us to help us get better, because everyone's just trying to do the best they can with that.
And the one thing I keep telling folks about menopause, not every person is going to have the exact same experience. Mine's going to be different than my mom's, than her mom's, than my best friend's, than your sister. So yes, there's generalizations, and there's, as we know, there's common symptoms, but not everybody's going to have the exact same experience, and it's going to start and end at different ages for people. So we really have to give grace to ourselves. And I understand the frustration with maybe some of our doctors. I mean, the doctors that are taking the time to get certified and educated, kudos to them and thank you. It's so important. But I can understand why it feels overwhelming to a physician to learn about this, because it's not just like, oh, well, you have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and that's going to equal heart disease. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a lot to really think about. So that's why I firmly believe that talking with people, taking the time to learn, and really doing everything you can to be informed is so helpful.
It truly is. And I think that's just the nature of it now, given, as you said, there's so much information and we're bombarded with it. And even those in the health, we can't keep up with all the science and how it evolves and changes. And so all of that is really difficult. So doing the best we can, and like things like this, listening to podcasts that provide a new information that you might need. If you get one new thing to take away from it that helps you improve and move forward in your journey, then that's terrific. You don't have to put everything into practice. You can just take one thing, which leads me to, I mean, we could keep talking forever on this topic.
This is so fun.
Leads me to my last question, which I know is going to be kind of a difficult one, but if there were one thing that you wish all women entering the menopausal journey would do, what would that be?
It's to connect with other women and to connect with good healthcare providers. I think when we go through this time, it could be intimidating. Again, it can feel overwhelming. It can feel very alone. And instead of people sitting in a state of aloneness, I would want everybody to reach out to a friend, to a family member, that, someone that they feel safe with, and just be like, oh my God, I'm struggling.
Great.
Find good doctors, reach out to people. Like, I know that this organization, your organization, helps women find good doctors and can be such a wonderful resource. But to me, it would be to connect 100%.
That is such good advice. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing your time and your experience and your life experience, as well as your professional experience, which is just as important. We'll include additional information about the resources we talked about today, and about you in particular, with the notes of this episode, so that people can find it and reach out to, as you said, we're here at the National Menopause Foundation to help connect people and to get you on the path to being as educated about your journey as you need to be. So I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I have. And if so, please do two things. Subscribe to the Positive Pause podcast so you never miss an episode. And please share the information about this podcast with your family and friends. Thank you again to my guest, Stephanie Mitchell, owner of Stephanie Mitchell Fitness. And thank you for listening. We hope you'll tune in to another episode of The Positive Pause.